You woke up with a clear list of priorities and the ambition to finish them, but hours later, you're still frozen in place, watching the afternoon sun move across the wall while your to-do list remains untouched. Instead of working, you find yourself deep in a social media feed or meticulously cleaning a kitchen that was already spotless. You're waiting for a specific spark of motivation that never seems to arrive. Most people look at this cycle and assume it's a character flaw. We've been conditioned to believe that procrastination is simply the result of poor time management or a lack of self-discipline. But when you look at the disconnect between your plans and your actions, it becomes clear that the clock isn't the problem. This is a breakdown in emotion regulation, a struggle to manage the internal friction that a difficult task creates. To solve it, you have to understand the biological hijack that occurs the moment you think about starting something hard. Your brain isn't looking at the long-term payoff of your work. It is scanning for immediate discomfort, focusing entirely on the anticipated boredom or potential for failure. This activates the limbic system, a primitive alarm bell designed to protect you from stress. It treats a difficult project like a physical threat. To soothe that panic, your brain forces an easy escape. It trades long-term goals for a quick hit of dopamine. Surrendering to this reflex means letting a temporary wave of discomfort dictate the course of your life. Success, then, isn't about working harder. It's about learning to bypass this alarm system. Most of us try to wait out the alarm. We stay stationary, hoping that eventually we will finally feel like starting the work. But waiting for the right feeling is a trap. If you only move when you feel inspired, you've handed control of your future over to a fickle emotional state. High achievers operate on the inverse principle. They know that motivation doesn't lead to action. Action leads to motivation. Think about the gym. The actual training isn't the hurdle. The resistance is highest the moment you have to put on your shoes and walk out the door. Once you're moving, the resistance evaporates. You don't need to be inspired to take the first step. You just need to break the static friction. Momentum only shows up after you've already started. To manually override the brain's panic response, psychologists recommend a specific behavioral strategy known as the 5-minute rule. The deal you make with yourself is this: you will work on the task for exactly 5 minutes. After that, you have full permission to stop and walk away. This works because your limbic system only panics at the massive, overwhelming scope of a whole project. By scaling down the commitment, you turn a mountain into a tiny hurdle. Because the commitment is so small, the fear response vanishes. You've made it impossible to fail, and in doing so, you've cleared the path for unstoppable momentum to take over. Data shows that once that 5-minute threshold is crossed, the vast majority of people simply keep going. The hardest part wasn't the work itself, it was the transition into the work. Once you're in it, the brain realizes there was never anything to fear in the first place. There will be days when you actually do stop after 5 minutes, and you should treat that as a success because you still practiced the act of starting. You have to standardize the habit of showing up before you can ever worry about the quality of the results. The majority of people wait for perfect conditions or buy better tools, but they never execute. The few who succeed are those willing to do 5 minutes of messy, imperfect work just to keep the habit alive. However, this only works if you protect those 5 minutes. You must eliminate every possible escape route before you start the clock. If your phone is within reach, your brain will take that exit the second the work feels slightly tedious. Move the phone, close the tabs, and simply engage. Consistency and showing up will always outperform the intensity of a perfect plan that never gets off the ground. By treating those 5 minutes as a sacred contract, you take your agency back from a world designed to keep you distracted. Stop waiting for the perfect moment to arrive. The only moment that matters is the 5 minutes you are about to start. What is the one task you've been avoiding that you will give 5 minutes to right now? Commit to it in the comments. And to see how this focus can change your financial life, watch our next video on the psychology of wealth. Set your timer and start.